Oh, I am dragging today, and that's because I haven't had my favorite performance-enhancing drug. Yes, it's true, I take performance-enhancing drugs. In fact, I rarely do a workout without them. And in fact, I want you to start taking performance-enhancing drugs too. Now, the key here is that we want to take a legal performance-enhancing drug that is not only the most widely used drug on the planet, but it's also the most tested and studied. Not only is it safe, it is absolutely proven to improve your performances. And in this video, I want to talk about why caffeine is your best friend when it comes to hard workouts. I hope you didn't think I actually wanted you to take some banned substance. That is obviously not the case. But let's talk a little bit more about caffeine. I will never forget when I started strategically ingesting cold black coffee before my cross-country races when I was competing in cross-country. Now, back in the day, I didn't really drink a lot of coffee, tea, really didn't ingest much caffeine at all. And so I was a hyper responder to the effects of caffeine. I remember standing on the starting line of a cross-country race and just feeling like I was so incredibly stimulated. I was ready to go. I was excited about the challenge ahead, and it really helped me run to my potential in those years. And I kept taking caffeine and drinking coffee before all of my cross-country and track races for my senior year in college, which ended up being my best year of training and racing, the whole 4 years of my career. So caffeine is really powerful, and let's discover why. So while my neuroreceptors have been blunted to the effects of caffeine over the years, nevertheless, it's an important part of my pre-race routine. And that's because caffeine is a proven performance enhancer. It is going to help you run harder and race faster. And it does this through two primary mechanisms. Let's talk about the two really interesting ways that caffeine helps you race faster in a hard running environment. First of all, it's the way that it impacts your brain. Caffeine actually blunts your brain's pain receptors so that even if the effort of a run is the same as when you are not caffeinated, when you're caffeinated, you are not going to perceive that effort as being as uncomfortable. So it's a wonderful way of simply reducing your perceived effort of the race. So if you're someone who gets out there and everything feels difficult, if you sometimes feel flat, you don't really feel like you have any snap or power in your legs when you're running, especially in a middle distance race, caffeine can give you that edge so that you do feel more responsive and you're just not experiencing the same high level of effort.
You know, I'm not that big into supplements, but I do love AG1 by Athletic Greens. I consider it my nutrition insurance, helping me cover all my bases so I know I'm not missing out on anything my body needs, especially when I'm training really hard. I try to eat really well, but of course, AG1 is that extra security that gives me peace of mind over my diet. 1 scoop per day, and I'm getting 75 vitamins and minerals, prebiotics, probiotics, antioxidants, and adaptogens. You can try it out too at athleticgreens.com/Jason, and they're going to throw in a free year's worth supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs. Check it out at athleticgreens.com/Jason.
Now, the other way that caffeine helps you race faster is that it actually allows your body to make more forceful muscle contractions. And they've done some interesting studies where they have attached electrodes to athletes' muscles. Some of those athletes were caffeinated, some of them were not. And even when these athletes were not actively trying to contract their muscles, the muscles were just being contracted by the electrical stimuluses. Even then, the muscles contracted more forcefully when the subjects were caffeinated. So this shows us that if you drink caffeine, if you drink coffee or something similar that has a certain amount of caffeine in it, you're going to be able to run faster, because after all, what is fast running? It's more powerful muscle contractions that are going to lead you to have a more powerful stride. So caffeine can really actually help you run faster in that specific way. And this isn't specific to distance running either. We can use this if we're in the gym and we're trying to go for a 1 rep max. Caffeine is going to help us in that regard too. It's very powerful. Now, the general guidelines for how many milligrams of caffeine to ingest before a hard workout or a race does vary, and it partly depends on how big you are as an individual. So you certainly want to have about a cup of coffee, but maybe even a little bit more. A lot of the guidelines are somewhere in the realm of 100 to 200 milligrams of caffeine about an hour before your hard workout or race. And when I was in college, I took a pharmacology class, and one of the things I learned was the half-life of caffeine, which is about 4 hours. But the effects of caffeine peak about an hour and a half after you ingest that caffeine. So this gives us valuable insight into when to time our caffeine so that it can have the best effect on our race performance. Now look, the obvious drawback to caffeine is that it stimulates the GI system. So if you're not used to caffeine and you have a big cup of coffee or you throw down 200 milligrams of caffeine, not only will your heart feel like it's about to explode, but don't worry, it probably won't, but you're probably gonna have to go to the bathroom. So this is certainly something that you want to experiment with in training before you take a bunch of caffeine right before a major race. It's not something where you just want to start experimenting with it on race day, because you might not know how it affects you. But if you're a regular caffeine drinker, you'll also be heartened to know that you don't have to abstain from your precious morning cup of coffee or any caffeine intake that you're having before your race. In other words, you don't have to go cold turkey so that the effects of the caffeine are stronger on race day. Studies have shown that you're still gonna get all the benefits of caffeine, even if you don't taper off of it before your race. All right, my friends, if you haven't been drinking some coffee or having your caffeine before your workouts or races, I hope you will now. It is such an important ergogenic aid to our performances. It is legal, it is safe, and it is proven to work. Let's get stimulated and let's race fast.